Our first segment is all about the creative director here at 555 Arts, Carl Goines, who is a skilled craftsman and sculptor. Take a look.
What I'm hoping people will take away from my work is a sense of beauty and appreciation for the human form. My father was a carpenter, still is, and I got working in his field, just assisting him and working with my hands three-dimensionally. Went to the University of Michigan School of Art and Design. I studied figure sculpture there. I really hadn't dabbled much in sculpting people and working with clay except for some experimental things. But I started working with Lou Marinero, a really fantastic figurative sculptor. And he just kind of made me fall in love with it. As far as my figurative sculpture goes, I think that I'm kind of in a hyper-realism sort of category. Really trying to capture the human form in a way that it's an experience in and of itself. That it's not lifelike, like movie lifelike, where you're seeing every pore and hair in detail. But there's some life that starts to exude from the piece, whether it is a portrait or it's a full figure. And the idea of the body really is something that we can appreciate in all its forms. My passion is more about capturing form and having this experience with a physical form in your presence. The other nuances that come with it, whether it's a different type of body that you may never have seen and exhibited it as a sculpture in a museum or a fine arts gallery, that it's pushing those boundaries a little bit. For me, it's in many ways about creating something beautiful. There are all types of bodies that I think that are beautiful and inspiring. And I think that self-reflection and trying to appreciate myself, having confidence as a person who's making the figure and working with new figures, I think that being comfortable with all types is an important thing that needs to be integrated into our arts. There are many stages to creating a piece, and a lot of times it takes knowing how to build an armature that will then hold the clay on top of it in a way that will structurally sound, and then putting the clay on the piece. At the same time, kind of referring back to your model as far as scale goes, just to make sure that you capture reality in a way that it comes through as a human, that it doesn't have too much of an alien-like form to it. It's crazy hours spent trying to kind of meticulously capture these little elements. The little subtle crevices and wrinkles and things of that sort where the forms meet or the skin folds, to me, are very exciting areas to work on. And as an entire piece, it just adds these elements that your eye travels, your mind travels. You could get a sense of actually how the form feels without touching it, and that brings the life to it. That kind of person will get up off of the seat before you know it kind of feeling. Then making a mold of that, so a lot of tools and steps involved in running different equipment and putting it together to the final stage of casting, ideally in bronze or iron. Right now I'm working on a figurative piece, basically a small model for a larger life-size piece that I'd like to do in the near future. Actually, my kids were taking some classes at the Detroit Flyhouse Circus School here in Eastern Market, and seeing their activities working in hoop, so I struck up a conversation with one of the models and put something together so that I could work with somebody who can take a really dramatic pose and hold that pose and work with me to make a piece from there. To really, again, push the limits of maybe what is being done on a day-to-day basis or you may see in a figurative sculpture piece, and to capture something with a lot of movement, and it's a beautiful thing to look at as well. I work in 2D as well. I like to draw. A lot of stuff right now is about architectural buildings around me here in Dearborn and Detroit, some of the factories and highways, Bob Lowe boat, things like that are kind of iconic. I drive around a lot, taking photos and then trying to translate those to a two-dimensional piece. I'm working in charcoals and chalks, and just trying to mix it up a little bit and not just entirely be a 3D artist. To be able to go back and forth keeps things interesting. I also run a nonprofit arts organization called 555 Arts, and our mission is to really provide space for artists to support the arts in a way that they can be shared, educational arts programming, opportunities to exhibit. We have a 30,000 square foot building on the Detroit's east side. It's in the Poletown neighborhood. We've acquired also vacant property adjacent to the building that we're setting up an outdoor foundry and an art park. And we're also renovating a house for artist residents. It's a big project, but we hope to have artist studios, gallery space, classroom space, a maker space for artists and creatives, live workspace, and an art park that will be able to host events, community arts, education programming, as well as just other community events and private events that we can share the creative space as much as possible. I love what I do. Some days are better than others, but I get to make art. I get to live in a place that's full of art. I have kids that can appreciate it, and my coworkers in the day job can appreciate it, and I get to keep doing it.